Howard, alcoholic. I want to welcome the newcomers and everybody congratulate the CHIP people. I stand before you here and this program and you people, and life is awesome today. And it wasn't always that way. I drank for some 30 years, and it was my courage, my guidance for many years. I grew up in the Midwest, very conservative family. I never was around alcohol much until I went to college. As I look back on my life, I probably needed a drink in first grade because I had a first grade teacher that tied me down to the chair one day because I couldn't stay in my seat. So I don't know, I was irritable and restless then, I guess. They blamed it on allergies, but if they only knew, But, as a teenager, growing up as a kid, I always felt, different, the odd person, the odd man out. I always felt like I was the last person picked on the baseball team or the spelling team, I don't know, I just never felt like I fit in and, was always irritable. And I went away to college, and college I found keg parties, and it started from there. And it wasn't long from there that I was controlling my drinking on weekends, mainly on the weekends. If I was going to a party, I took a fifth for myself and then found out whatever the person was going with me wanted to take, and I took a bottle for her, and there she touched my bottle, I can remember sometimes of, watching the bottle, drinking a quarter an hour, of the bottle, so that I wouldn't get drunk too fast. I was right out of the gate, controlling from the get-go. And I went on through the next 20-some years, drinking and, got into stuff from my college education and so forth. And my father-in-law gave me an opportunity to run his business, and I did that for 8 years, and then I sold it and moved on to another business for about 12 years. But, always drinking, always using that, having that false courage to be able to do this job. I always had the false courage of the alcohol. I was always, had a very strong work ethic, and, no matter what, I showed up for work, And towards the end, it was, you get up, get in the shower, throw up, take the shower, and get to work, And I'd do that, and by 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I was going for that first half pint. I always used to say I only had 4 or 5 drinks, but each one was a half pint, And, came up to, it was in the, started to have some problems. There was different things along the way, little things, and then I backed off for this reason or that way and controlled my drinking, and I went from beer to wine and so forth and things like that. But, basically I was drinking on a daily basis for some 30 years. Then about 8.5 years ago, my wife passed away from cancer, and, I didn't know how I was going to run a business, raise 2 kids, and, it was pour me another drink. And it wasn't long after that people started suggesting I come to these rooms, and so I did. And, after having a bad weekend or whatever, I think I came down to this Alano Club, and some guys told me about a meeting over at Inner City that night. So I went over there, and it was on like a Tuesday night. This was like back in '94. And went into the meeting, and it was a small room, and it was smoky and all this, and the leader of the meeting asked for anybody had firearms to lay them on the table, and 3 guys laid their firearms on the table. And I'm going, what the heck have I got myself into here? Come to find out later on they were 3 Long Beach detectives, but I didn't know in my first meeting, and I'm going, holy shit. So I didn't go back for a while. But so about 3 months later, I was taking my son from Cerritos, the skate rink there, and I had a blackout driving home and didn't remember driving him home, and got home and had a dent in the front of my truck, which I didn't know to this day where it came from. And my son didn't know anything about it, so I don't know whether I had it before or after picking him up or whatever. Anyway, it kind of scared me enough that I checked into finding out where, some AA meetings were. And went over to the meetings at Kaiser, because they were at 7 o'clock meetings. I was meeting there on Tuesday and Thursday or Friday at 7 o'clock, and with the kids and everything, I did that. And I heard the 90 meetings in 90 days and stuff, and I did that, and that got the heat off. But I wasn't doing it for myself. I never got involved. I never take any commitments, and I heard all the differences. I still owned the house. I still owned the business. I'm better than, I got an education, I didn't live under a bridge, that kind of thing. And did 90 meetings, decided it was, I'm going to go drink, I still enjoyed my drinking. But the next 2 years and 11 months, alcohol took me to my knees. And that last 3 or 4 months, the fall of 97, I just was wondering, what's it going to take? What's going to take to stop me, And on November 17th, I went into a blackout and came out of it in Downey Community Hospital on November 25th that evening. So November 26th is my sobriety date, November of 97. Anyway, I think when I woke up or came out of that blackout, I had my moment of clarity or whatever, and really realized and accepted the fact that I was an alcoholic. And from that point on, I've, grabbed onto this program, and it's been the greatest thing I ever did. I went into an outpatient program up in Alhambra for 90 days, and it was run by a couple of good alcoholics from Long Beach, and really got some good structure in there. And I grabbed a sponsor, and I did my steps within the first 7 months. And still working on my 9th step and some of my financial stuff, but it takes some time, especially with the IRS and stuff. Because that company that I had during sobriety now, I went through a bankruptcy with that, because just because you get sober doesn't mean that you change your thinking. And I had to hold on to old thinking and old ideas for a while, and I was still trying to run and save that business that, I thought I could run, I could do, and it wasn't to be. And the consequences of that, I lost a $300,000 house because I'd borrowed against it trying to save the business. I lost the business. I owe the government IRS money. But I was able to walk through all that sober, and it was because of you people in rooms like this, that I was able to do it. It's definitely a we program, We can walk through anything, whether it's death, losing a business, whatever, we can do it. Sickness or whatever. My sponsor's been going through some sickness lately, and there's 3 or 4 of us guys, we get him to his, to his appointments, his doctor's appointments, whatever it takes, And, that's the way I can give back to this program. I find that service for me is a big thing. I jumped right into that right away, took a coffee commitment at a Sunday morning meeting up at the bank in Downey there. I've been secretary of a couple meetings, cake maker, whatever needs to be done for a meeting, I try to jump in and help and be part of. And, that gets me out of my head. And as long as Howard takes and keeps out of his head and turns it over to his higher power, which I've just in the last few years have really got comfortable with the higher power thing, because when my wife passed away, I thought it was God's fault. I blamed it on God and everything, and I just couldn't accept the fact that, he would take a person like this. And I was very involved in the Episcopal Church in Downey prior to that, and just had that whole religious thing, if you do good, you serve God, it was like I was like a slave to God, and he didn't come through. So I really had a hard time with that, but it's only been in the last few years that I've been able to turn it over to a higher power that I understand today, a friend that I can talk to, person that, I can talk to, and, he's a friend, he's a buddy, we just talk on an equal level, and I don't know, it works. When I turn it over and I stay out of the way, it just happens, and it's awesome. And with that, I've got a peacefulness in my heart today that, I didn't know I could have. And it's all because of you people, this room, and this program. Thank you.